What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Saved by the Code, where I keep you up to date with the most recent happenings in the cryptocurrency world. And we got a spicy, juicy, all that good stuff episode for you today. We got the Ray Dalio talking about Bitcoin. We got Texas and Japan wanting Bitcoin reserves. Vancouver. We got Microstrategy being listed on the NASDAQ 100. We got NFT stuff for you. We got Donnie T stuff for you. And if you stay and watch the whole episode until the end, we got more block size wars stuff for you. I just released an episode on the Tucker Carlson Roger Ver interview. And what's very relevant to that is the block size wars that happened back in 2017. Well, from 2015 to 2017. Ultimately, the small blockers won. The small size won. It was a size war. Usually the bigger size wins. But in this case, the small blockers won. So we'll be getting into all of this in this juicy episode. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do, and let's get into it. The market is boring AF right now. Just sideways, kind of down, but nothing too crazy. Down 1, 2, 3%. Bitcoin's hovering around $100,000. Hasn't given us that confirmed breakout from 100,000. We need to see 110,000. It's just sitting at 101. Just hovering around there. And everything else is just floundering, which is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Things shouldn't just go straight up. We need these healthy pullbacks. It's okay. When things get too hot too quickly, that's not good. We need steady, slow, steady upward movements, which is exactly what we're getting right now. And I think we'll see a nice leg upwards here soon. And don't lose hope, people. But everything's just kind of sideways right now, and that's fine. We're not dropping. That's good. We're not just like taking a nosedive. Everything's holding these levels very, very strongly. There's a lot of strength. I just remember in the old days in like 2017 where Bitcoin would go up to like 5,000, then it would drop to 3,000, or up to 6,000, drop to 3. Like that's like a 40% up, 50% down, like these insane up and down movements. Now that we're at this $2 trillion market cap, those don't happen anymore. This is how it works. The more money that's in, the higher the market cap, the harder it is to move the price. The more stable it becomes, the less volatile it becomes. And this is like this argument as to why these companies like Microsoft voted on whether or not they should buy Bitcoin. It's too volatile. We're not going to buy it until it's $5 trillion. Which is understandable. I mean, that's a lot of money, but come on. 1% of your cash reserves in Bitcoin. Like, really? 1%. They're just, like, stubborn and just, like, aren't willing to, like, just have some fun. Like, put 1% into Bitcoin. Amazon and Microsoft, stop being a little whatever. So they'll do it eventually, but it's great, actually. This is awesome that they're waiting till $5 trillion, $6 trillion market cap to buy it, because then they'll pump us more. When Bitcoin hits $250,000, which is a $5 trillion market cap, they'll be like, okay, we're going to buy Bitcoin now. All right, we're doing it. Microsoft, Amazon, we got to do it. Great. Sends the price higher. That's how it works with a lot of these bigger entities, organizations. They will wait until the market cap is at a certain point, until they put their big old money in there. All right, let's get into the news. Enough of that nonsense. So we got Ray Dalio talking about Bitcoin, which is huge. He's been a skeptic of Bitcoin for a long time. And he's saying that gold and Bitcoin are hard assets. And that the Fed dollar crisis warning spurs sudden $100,000 Bitcoin price surge. So there's some debt spiral debt crisis, this and that, everything's in a crisis. So we're always in a crisis, right? Always. Recession's looming. A massive crash is always looming. Always. It's always looming. It's been looming for 20 years. Actually, probably, it's just looming. It's always looming. Never actually happens, but it's always looming. Quote, I believe that there would likely be a pending debt money problem, says Ray Dalio, highly respected hedge fund manager, Bridgewater Associates, respected investor. There's a debt crisis. There's always a crisis. Dalio predicts that unprecedented levels of debt across the world's biggest countries is not sustainable. No way. You don't say. I would have never guessed. Quote, it is impossible for these countries to be able to not have a debt crisis in the years ahead. That will lead to a great decline of US dollar value. Okay, we're living it right now. It's just funny how, like, it's always ahead. It's always we're gonna see a recession, this and that. There's a crisis. It's coming. It's always on the cusp. Every time. It's never actually here. It's just always on the cusp. But we're in it right now. Stuff is not good. And nothing's okay. Like, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the cost of everything has gone up a ridiculous amount. And nothing's okay. The world's on fire. And the only good thing that's happened is November 5th. Yeah, it's just, it's always on the cusp. Oh, we're in a death spiral. There's going to be this and that. Everything's going to crash. We're this and that. And it never really, I mean, it does happen, but it's like gradually. And now we're like used to it. We're just used to gas prices being ridiculously high. Everything's priced ridiculously high. We're just used to it, and everybody just goes along thinking that, it never happened in the United States. We'll never see that. We'll never see a 10% inflation, even though that's exactly what happened in 2022, 2023. Over 10% inflation. And this is due to a number of factors, but we are living it. It's not going to happen. It's not on the cusp. We're in it now. Life sucks for a lot of people. A lot of people. And stuff is really expensive. Okay? It's not coming. It's here. Obviously, the best quote Dalio had to say was, quote, to steer away from debt assets like bonds and debt and have some hard money like gold and Bitcoin. He says hard assets like gold and Bitcoin. Ray Dalio, one of the most respected hedge fund managers and investors on Wall Street. And I mean, it's just the mismanagement of the US dollar, the chaos, everything. Everybody lives in this fantasy that everything is just fine and wonderful, and that we'll wake up tomorrow, go to my bank and get my money and this and that, and it's all good. But it's so wild how we're just like used to how expensive everything is now. Oh yeah, dozen eggs, $7. 16 slices of cheese, $6, $5, $4, whatever. Gallon of gas, $3.50. Oh, it's down to $3.20 now. It's all the way down to $3.20 for a gallon of gas. Wow. Oh, Bidenomics is working. It's amazing. Oh, it's so incredible. I can't believe Bidenomics is working so well. I mean, I'm just mind blown as to how good it's working. We are absolutely effed. Nothing's working. Everything is effed, and the only hope or things is Bitcoin, really. I mean, in a world without Bitcoin, I see no hope. I truly don't. Like something that enables you to be in full control of your money. And if you store it properly, if you're just leaving your money, if you're leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange or in a custodial wallet or a third-party wallet, you're not in control of your money. You're just giving, like, it completely defeats the purpose of Bitcoin. Your privacy is taken away from you, and your self-sovereignty is taken away from you. Because you're just giving it to exchanges. Like, it's the same as putting your money in a bank. People are so uninformed and not dumb at all. They're just uninformed. A lot of people think that the money in their bank is theirs. Like, it's theirs. They own it. It's my money. It's my money in my savings account. No, it's not at all. No. Nope. Not at all. But yeah, it's Ray Dalio, highly respected guy. And we're just in unprecedented times. You need to hedge. You need to protect yourself. And the best way to protect yourself is Bitcoin, not financial advice. None of what is said on this channel is financial advice. But it is. It's impossible for us to avoid inflation with this unprecedented money printing and all these things that I don't really understand, but nonetheless raise the price of everything. So it makes sense to me to put it into something that has a finite supply. It's scarce. Bitcoin is the most scarce asset on the planet. There's nothing else more scarce than it. And so protecting yourself in these times is so important. You and your family, protecting yourself, I mean, super important. So if you're still ignoring Bitcoin, well, not ignoring, but you just haven't made this, you're scared, you don't know how to do it, this and that, get in touch with someone who does. Educate yourself. It's really not that hard. But that's coming from me, who's been into Bitcoin since 2016. I grew up with computers, this and that. It makes total sense to me. It's very simple for me. But to a lot of people, it's not. And that does not mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're dumb at all. It's just something so new. And for you to wrap your head around, for most to wrap their heads around it and understand it. You don't need to understand how Bitcoin works. You don't need to understand how a car works to drive it. You just need to understand that you need to protect yourself, and the best way to protect yourself against ridiculous inflation and unchecked money printing is Bitcoin. It really is. But, all right, moving on from that. This whole Bitcoin reserve thing is just getting crazy. And it's so funny how it all happened after November 5th. You know, Donnie T wants a Bitcoin reserve for the U.S., and all of a sudden, Texas State Rep files for strategic Bitcoin reserve. Japan wants a Bitcoin reserve. Russia, Brazil. Everybody wants a Bitcoin reserve. Everybody. So, not only will we see countries holding Bitcoin, at least in the U.S., it'll be states that want their own Bitcoin reserves. And Texas wants to, Florida, Vancouver, Brazil. It's just like all these countries are moving to enact this Bitcoin reserve. And they're moving faster than companies, which is funny. Like Microsoft, nope, we're not buying Bitcoin. Nope. But countries want to buy it before tech companies. Like, really? And they won't even put 1%. Like, it's just like these guys are so resistant to it, and they won't put, like I said, which I mentioned earlier, which is great. They won't start pumping our bags until it hits 5 trillion, which is awesome. I'll take it. But yeah, a bill has been proposed in Texas for a Bitcoin reserve, and in summary, the bill would, it says here, would effectively see Texas buy and hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, securely store the Bitcoin in cold storage for at least 5 years, allow Texas residents to donate to it, ensure allow state agencies to accept crypto and convert them to Bitcoin, establish rules for security, Takeaway is that the fact that this is even being discussed and bills are being proposed is so massive. It's just so huge. I mean, this is where you get the $1 million Bitcoins from. And It's so funny, Bitcoin's sitting at like 101,000 right now. It's like boring. We're already bored by it. Oh, wow, big deal. Bitcoin's at 101,000. The sound of a $90,000 Bitcoin sounds horrible. Like, that's just like gut wrenching now. It happens so fast, and this is going to continue. It's going to continue happening, and this is where you get the $1 million Bitcoins from. It really is. And some of you may be thinking, like, we're blinded by the price increase. Oh, wow, Bitcoin, it's going to 100,000. Oh my gosh. Like, wow. You don't look at, like, what's actually going on. Like, is there corruption in Bitcoin? Is there this or that? Is it actually decentralized? What is Bitcoin? All you see is the number go up. Right? Number go up, technology activated. And then people like Roger Ver, who seem like whistleblowers, come out whenever there's a lot more to the story than meets the eye. There's a lot more to Roger Ver than meets the eye. Don't just blindly believe people. Just like actually do things yourself and learn about Bitcoin and how it works. And like for me, I worked at a Bitcoin mine, a large scale Bitcoin mine for like 6 months or so. So I saw firsthand Bitcoin mining and how the mining industry works and like how these companies conduct their business. Not at like a high level, but I actually like saw their operation and was a part of it and building it and like saw the build out of it and like wiring these miners and all this stuff. So I saw firsthand that. I've also been using Bitcoin for 8 years. Sending it, receiving it, never had any issues when I stored it myself on a wallet that I control. No one's censoring my transactions. No one's stopping it. No questions asked. Like, it works. And also running my own full node, which I'm still downloading. It's been like days, but that's how much data there is. And I'll talk about it at the end. If you increase the block size, like Bitcoin Cash did, Roger Ver's Bitcoin Cash, it makes it a lot more difficult for people to run full nodes in their own homes, which completely destroys decentralization. But anyways, I digress. We'll get more into that in the end. But Japan, Texas want a Bitcoin reserve. Well, big deal. No big deal here. Nothing to see. Vancouver, yeah. Okay, yeah, Bitcoin reserve, better than gold, blah, blah, blah. Boring. Like, it's just so funny how it's like boring now. It's like, Vancouver, Japan, Texas, no big deal. Nothing to see here. This is everyday news now. Everyday news. And it's so funny. This guy's name is Satoshi. This Japanese lawmaker named Satoshi pushes for national Bitcoin reserve in Japan. Maybe. Is he Satoshi Nakamoto? Oh my gosh. What if he was? He's just like hiding in plain sight. Satoshi's pushing for a Japanese national Bitcoin reserve. That would be so funny. So it's just this cascading effect. Russia, Brazil, Poland. I mean, everybody wants a Bitcoin reserve now. All of a sudden, now that, Donnie T came out, said something. What do you know? The Trump effect is a real thing. As much as people may like him or hate him, it's a real thing. And I don't know about you, but this is just, it seems like a great thing for the world to have something like Bitcoin and them pushing for this reserve asset. Who knows? Maybe there's something deeper going on here that I don't know about, and that's totally possible. Maybe Roger Ver is totally right. 100% right. Bitcoin has been hijacked. They're all after us and our Bitcoin, and we're just trapping ourselves. It's a financial trap. Could be true, but watch my last episode on the Roger Ver Tucker Carlson interview. There's a lot of red flags about Roger Ver and his credibility. Just watch it, and your eyes will be opened a little bit, maybe. if you decide to. But anyways, yeah. So Vancouver, Japan, Texas, boring, lame. Wow, okay. More people want Bitcoin reserves. Big deal. It's a huge deal. All right, moving on. VanEck predicts 180K Bitcoin, U.S. Strategic Reserve Bank custody by 2025. Just some more boring news, you know. Bitcoin 180K, reserve, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just every day. Every day. The new administration in the U.S. is super pro crypto. Trump loves Bitcoin. I have some stories coming up here where, quote, Trump says he's going to do something great with crypto. All the regulations are being relaxed. Scary Gary's gone from the SEC. Microstrategy just entered the NASDAQ 100. Because of how I missed that one so bad. I'm just so crypto, I don't even look at the stock market, and that was silly of me. I totally missed MicroStrategy. That was just stupid. I should have got into MicroStrategy, but I'm just so about crypto. But MicroStrategy has seen a massive increase in their valuation because they bought Bitcoin. Literally. And they're in the NASDAQ 100. They won entry into the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100 index tracks the 100 largest non-financial companies listed on the NASDAQ exchange and is filled with dominant market names like Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Amazon, Yeah, so this is all because of Bitcoin. MicroStrategy was kind of irrelevant, and Michael Saylor did this Bitcoin buy back in 2020 because he had no other options. He was just like, what do? We need to do something, and he bought Bitcoin, and yeah, oh man, he might be the happiest man on the planet right now because his bet really paid off. And says here the addition will exponentially increase the NASDAQ 100's exposures to Bitcoin, of which MicroStrategy owns $42 billion worth, and expose MicroStrategy to billions in passive investment. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Even like there are these side effects of buying Bitcoin for these companies. And MicroStrategy is a proof of concept, which a lot of companies are going to follow suit. And you even talked to Microsoft and they still shot it down because it's Microsoft and they're too conservative. 1%, that's the thing. It's just put 1% of your cash into Bitcoin, dude. Who cares if you lose it? Your company's not over. Like, that's what I would be, that guy in the boardroom. I'd be like, are you serious? 1%? Come on. We have almost $1 billion of cash on hand. Let's put 1% in. What's going to happen? It's just so ridiculous. Anyways, you know, you'd think these people would be like more like, what do I know? I'm just a little YouTuber, but like, I just like question the intelligence of these people that are in these positions. I kind of think some of them are just, you know, they're just like really good at one thing, but everything else they're just like, dang. Which is how I am in a lot of regards. I'm very good at like one or two things, but everything else I'm pretty stupid at. Like remembering my water bottle in the morning. I forget it all the time. It's so annoying. Just like stupid, just like little simple things I can't do. But then Bitcoin just makes perfect sense in my brain. Anyways. So yeah, MicroStrategy in the NASDAQ 100. Blackrock. They recommend 2% allocation to Bitcoin for investors interested. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people need these types of confirmations to invest in Bitcoin. We need to hear it from BlackRock. We got to hear it from Elon Musk. I remember when Tesla bought Bitcoin in 2021, I got calls from friends. Finally, after I had been telling them to buy Bitcoin since 2016, Finally, it took Tesla buying Bitcoin. Oh, whoa, I want to buy some Bitcoin now. Whoa, okay. Now that Elon Musk said it was okay, now I can buy Bitcoin. Not because my best friend said it was okay, because Elon Musk said it was okay. I get it. I'm pretty crazy, but I mean, come on. Listen to your friends. They might know a thing or two. But anyways, yeah, Blackrock says here recommends that interested investors consider allocating as much as 2% of their portfolio to Bitcoin. And I don't know. Maybe it's because Blackrock has a... they just see profits. They have the biggest Bitcoin ETF. They want people to put 2% into it so it pumps the price of their Bitcoin. That may be a motivation behind this. I don't know. You ask yourself. But BlackRock holds a lot of Bitcoin, and so maybe they they have an interest in pumping its price. I don't know. But yeah, buy Bitcoin, folks. Not financial advice. BlackRock said this, not me. You should at least have 2% of Bitcoin in your portfolio. Wasn't me. It was BlackRock. But yeah. So said it based its allocation recommendation on gauging how much the addition of Bitcoin to a portfolio would raise its overall risk. 2%. They caution that above the 2% maximum recommended weight, Bitcoin's share of total portfolio risk becomes outsized compared with the average Magnificent 7 stock. Those boring stocks, which have been on a tear lately. I mean, Nvidia, Tesla, you can make a lot of money in stocks. You really can. But, yeah, so BlackRock wants you to put 2% in Bitcoin, probably to pump their bags. Probably nothing other than that. Not because it's the best decentralized, censorship-resistant, scarce asset on the planet. They just want their bags pumped. Let's be real. All right, we got some Donnie T news here. Trump rings NYSE, New York Stock Exchange bell, promises to do something great with crypto. Donnie T declared, we're going to do something great with crypto after opening the New York Stock Exchange, emphasizing the U.S. would outpace China and other countries in digital assets. Donnie T is all about dominating the world and making sure that we're first, because he recognizes this is so huge. The fact that Donnie T sees that we need to be a leader in crypto, otherwise other countries will take the lead. And they fully embraced it. It was a question whether a concept similar to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve could apply to crypto. Trump replied, yeah, I think so. We're going to do something great with crypto because we won't want China or anybody else, not just China, but others are embracing it, and we want to be ahead. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Other countries will get ahead if we don't do it first. And Donnie T recognizes that, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. And I mean, you can see on the charts, right at November 5th, everything just pumped. Markets hate uncertainty. And now that we have certainty about the election, prices are going crazy. And regulatory clarity, relaxation of regulations, just like what will happen in all sectors. Trump is a pro-entrepreneur, pro-business president. The other administration was not. They were all about destroying, controlling, and regulating into the ground. I mean, it's just so obvious. So yeah, I mean, we'll see if these promises play out. I'm sure they will. This guy doesn't joke around. And I'm sure we will see a very pro-crypto administration. I mean, he holds crypto. His Ethereum wallet has been identified, and he has like a bunch of like millions in Ethereum and all these other altcoins, and I'm sure he doesn't manage it. It's probably someone else. There's no way he's like actually, but like he sells NFTs, like all this stuff. He's like into crypto. Like it's so cool to see an actual president, pro-crypto president, in power. It's awesome. So yeah, Donnie T loves crypto. and we're going to do something great with crypto. Make crypto great again. All right, moving on to some kind of grassroots kind of thing. Actually, like on the ground type stuff. This app called Tando was all the rage at this year's Africa Bitcoin conference. Tando is an app that allows you to buy things with your crypto without submitting any identity documents or anything. And in places like this, Bitcoin is so important because their currencies are just inflated into oblivion. No one can actually like use their currencies, and you need to provide all these documents to be able to be banked. Like, there's so many unbanked people in the world that aren't able to get access to banking services because there's so many restrictions on who can make a bank account, and you have to have all these things in place and this and that. With Bitcoin, there's none of that. All you have to do is sign up for this app, and you can start spending your Bitcoin. And it's a really beautiful thing. And you don't have to submit any identity documents or anything. And people in places like Kenya can actually use this technology to their benefit. And it looks like my internet browser is pooping out. But nonetheless, basically what the article goes over is the fact that it's very easy for people to spend their crypto in Africa, and then it's actually a thing there. Like, it enables people to get access to financial services that were previously unable to be banked. They can't get access to global financial services. Like, they're just excluded because they can't access their bank accounts and create bank accounts because they don't have the right credentials or whatever. It's very simple to use. It's just an app. I'm sure it doesn't work a lot of the time, just like every app. Like, there's so many apps I use that don't work. It's so annoying. But nonetheless, the fact that they're using Bitcoin in Africa just goes to show you how global this is, and that it does work as cash. The fact that Roger Ver came on Tucker Carlson and said that Bitcoin is not used as peer-to-peer cash is just false. It's just him being upset that Bitcoin Cash did not reach the level that he thought it would. So yeah, in Africa, people are using Bitcoin. Tando is the app, and it enables people to gain access to financial services that are they're just like ousted from the banking system in these countries. Like, a lot of people don't have access to banking services, and Bitcoin enables them to have access to those things. All right, next story here. The headline is Ledger Wallet user reports 10 Bitcoin loss. Community blames phishing. So someone lost a bunch of Bitcoin from their Ledger wallet because they signed a malicious transaction because they were interacting with Ethereum smart contracts. This can happen to anybody. It really can. And it's a failure of people to actually understand what they're signing when it comes to interacting with these smart contracts. And apparently he was interacting with some NFT smart contracts, and they can sign malicious things. And apparently it's from like 2 years ago, in like 2022. This person signed a transaction, and it was linked to them losing their money now, in like December 2024. Their whole wallet was drained. Apparently the hacker just waited a couple years and drained their account now. You have to know what you're signing, folks. Be super vigilant. You have to know what you're signing. When it comes to anything in crypto or in real life, it's like not reading the terms and conditions of something before you sign it. Like, it's the same exact thing. Like, you might sign something in real life that says, okay, you grant us access to your bank account. You don't read it. It's just buried in this document. You sign it, and oh, look, you granted access. Like, you didn't read it. It's your responsibility. And this person thought it was Ledger's problem. It wasn't. It was his mistake. He lost 10 Bitcoin and 1.5 million in NFTs stored on his ledger. These things don't happen if you're just sending money to your ledger and you're not like interacting a bunch. You raise the probability of it happening if you're interacting with a lot of smart contracts on Ethereum or Bitcoin. There's NFTs on Bitcoin. I'm sure this guy interacted with some Bitcoin NFTs if he's into ETH NFTs. And he's wondering why his Bitcoin was affected when he was only interacting with Ethereum. I don't think the full story's there. It wasn't Ledger. They can't steal your keys. None of these devices are connected to the internet. You could argue that they're sending you these devices with some kind of malicious software on them. You could argue that. And there's really no way to know. Nonetheless, this person, you just got to be careful out there. Be hyper vigilant because you can get your wallet drained if you don't know what you're signing. Read through what you're signing and understand what transactions you're signing because you can get screwed like this guy. Just be hyper vigilant, people. All right, moving on. On the topic of NFTs, NFT sales spike $224 million. Their sales spike. Pudgy Penguins surged 50%. Pudgy Penguins are going crazy. It's an NFT collection that's at like 23 ETH or something is the floor price, meaning that's the cheapest one you can get, which is like over $100,000. I think NFTs are going to come back with a vengeance. NFTs are cool. I liked them. I was a part of an NFT project 3 years ago. It was a fun time. I got to see firsthand the hosting NFT events, how interested people were in NFTs, how passionate people were, and it was a fun time. But it has been coming back. The volume has been roaring back to life. They've been kind of dead for the past couple of years. And I think we're going to see a resurgence in NFTs because I kind of didn't like them at first. I thought they were really stupid, but they're actually super fun. And people like collectibles. And people are willing to pay a lot of money for collectibles. Just like people are willing to pay a lot of money for art. Silly art. Silly art. Art that looks ridiculous costs millions of dollars. It's the same idea. Same exact thing. People like collectibles. People like one-of-ones. And NFTs are one-of-one things. No other one exists on the planet, and that's just like people like that, and so that's what NFTs are. They're just one of ones that you can collect, and it's just a digital form of that rather than a physical art form of it. So NFTs are roaring back to life, folks. Pudgy Penguins are going crazy. They've hit a new all-time high, and I think we're going to see a really big resurgence of NFTs here. All right. That does it for the news portion of this episode. Let's get into the juicy educational, informational portion of the episode. This is an old article. However, it's still very relevant, and it's on the topic of the block size wars. The size wars. Big or small? It usually isn't. Doesn't size matter? You know, the bigger the better, right? Not in this case. The small blockers won the block size wars in the end. And this article, which I will link down in the description, is super interesting to read. It goes through all the drama that happened with the block size wars from 2015 to 2017 and how the general consensus arrived at keeping Bitcoin's blocks at a smaller block, 1 megabyte, and how segregated witness, an update to Bitcoin, enabled that to increase to 2 megabytes, but not like actually. You read the article, it's really interesting, but I'll kind of briefly go over it, and why the small blockers won. And what this, like I just recently released a video on Roger Ver, the interview of Roger Ver by Tucker Carlson, and a lot of things that were totally missed in that interview, and the importance of the block size wars, and why that's relevant to this whole conversation. Basically what happened was in 2015 or so, it was proposed that we increase the block size from 1 megabyte on Bitcoin to 8 megabytes, or 2 megabytes at least. But nonetheless, we increased the block size. so that we can fit more transactions in and increase the throughput and decrease the transaction fees. This seems all nice and shiny from the outside, but whenever you really look into it, keeping the block size small makes total logical sense. One reason is that miners could theoretically create large blocks filled with a bunch of spam bull BS, which would force full nodes to download, upload, and store large amounts of data, leaving them unavailable to confirm legitimate transactions. So you could just fill these blocks with illegitimate transactions. If you don't have a block size limit, with the 1 megabyte block size limit, it really decreases the ratio of spam transactions to legitimate transactions. Also, higher transaction fees are a security measure. So if your transaction fees are like cents or like fractions of a cent, that sounds really nice, but it's so much easier to spam with those low transaction fees. You could send 10,000 transactions for a fraction of the price, or for a fraction of a penny, for like $5. Or if the transaction fee is $1, sending those transactions costs $10,000. It's a security measure, transaction fees, as well as a way to sustain the incentive for miners to continue mining, supporting the network whenever block rewards run out. So whenever Bitcoin stops giving miners block rewards, it's theoretic. The theory is that they rely on transaction fees alone. So they're very important from a security perspective and the longevity of Bitcoin. And so whenever you increase the block size, you decrease the transaction fees, you increase the throughput and the amount of transactions that can be processed per second, but you decrease the decentralization. The security of the network is severely compromised. So maintaining those small block sizes is very important. And this was a massive debate back in 2015, 2017, and it resulted in Bitcoin Cash, which is Roger Ver's creation, by the way, who he marketed as the real Bitcoin. So he pretty much tried to hijack Bitcoin whenever he says Bitcoin is being hijacked. It's so crazy. And it's really interesting to read about. And it's just, Roger Ver loses all credibility. I respect the guy. I think he did a lot for Bitcoin in the early days, and I don't think Bitcoin would be where it's at today if it wasn't for him. But, man, he's doing the exact thing to Bitcoin that he claims is being done to Bitcoin. He's hijacking it, claiming that it's the real Bitcoin and that we need to follow him and that he knows the truth and that everything's... He knows where Bitcoin should be. Bitcoin Cash is the way. If Bitcoin wasn't in the name Bitcoin Cash, it would have gotten no traction. Let's be real. If it was called, like, I don't know, Crypto Cash, no one would have paid attention to it. The fact that Bitcoin was in the name is why it gained all its traction. And in the end, the small blockers won the war. There were the big blockers and the small blockers. The big blockers wanted bigger blocks, faster transactions, lower transaction fees. So they prioritized those things. And less decentralization, which is what blockchain, like there's like a triangle, it's like a trilemma. More decentralization, more security, less throughput, higher transaction fees. But transaction fees are good. Higher transaction fees result in greater level of security. And I know, it's like if you're trying to send $10 in Bitcoin and you have to pay a $1 transaction fee, that's not cool. And there are scaling solutions available called the Lightning Network that are attempting to solve these issues. But if you're sending $100,000 in Bitcoin for $1, that's pretty sweet. Or $10,000 or $1,000. You know, but the smaller transactions, and you know, the big blockers were arguing that Bitcoin's gotten away from the original vision of Bitcoin, this and that. You know, it's just an electronic peer-to-peer cash system. Bitcoin is being used transactionally as a store of value. Things change too, you know. I don't know about you, but a lot of things in my life that I set out to do don't manifest themselves as my original vision. They change, they evolve. Like, but Bitcoin is still a peer-to-peer cash, electronic cash system. Like, If Satoshi didn't like the direction of Bitcoin, I'm sure they would have come out. If they're not dead yet, the group or whatever, who, he, she, whatever, is still around. If they didn't like the direction Bitcoin is going, maybe they would have come out and said something. But why should we trust this Roger Ver person? Who are you to say that this is the right Bitcoin? And he marketed it at Bitcoin Cash as the real Bitcoin. It's just crazy. But nonetheless, small blocks, it maintained, it didn't change the original vision of Bitcoin. They were at 1 megabyte originally, and they're staying that way, which is, in my opinion, I think that's the right thing to do. You shouldn't change. Satoshi made them 1 megabyte for a reason. Didn't state the explicit reason as to why, but why should we change it from 1 to 8? Bitcoin Cash is at 32 megabytes per block. Too much data for small full node operators to download and store. Eliminating centralization. So I'm going to put a link down in the description. Well, it already is down there. The block size war is really interesting to look into, and the reasons as to why the small blocks are better. They make more sense. More secure, more decentralized, slower, higher transaction fees, but way more secure and decentralized. And I don't know about you, if I'm storing my money somewhere, I want it to be maximally secure, maximally decentralized. So you come to the conclusion yourself. I'll put the link down below in the description. Thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate y'all, every single one of you. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And until next time, I bid you farewell.